Greetings. I am Baba Obasanjo from Ile Imole, a member at Ile Imole, and we welcome you to our Babaluaiye healing ritual. We are honored that you have decided that you are going to participate in our healing process, and we pray that all will go well for you during this Babaluaiye healing ritual. We generally put the ritual at the end of the year so that what ends up happening is that we're able to leave those things in the old year and we look with anticipation to the things in the new year. So Babaluaiye healing ritual is a 16-day ritual. This year what we're going to do is we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to do it in 4 blocks of 4 days. So the first block will be about opening of the way. The second block will be heal thyself. The third one is connecting to the spirit, and the last one is change and transition. So those are going to be the topics that we venture into as we go on this healing process with the Babaluaiye healing ritual. It is it's an amazing process that a lot of people have been through and have had some really positive things to say about it. So we welcome you, and we ask that you are able to do your healing ritual. So the first block, which we talked about, is called opening of the way. Opening of the way is talks about, if you're going to talk about opening of the way in Yoruba tradition, then the deity or the entity that does that is called Eshu. Eshu is the one that takes all of our offerings from the physical world. He takes them to the spiritual world, so that we're able to get those things that we prayed for in the physical world. And then also what we're going to do with the healing ritual is that we're going to do what's called an Odu. In Yoruba tradition, an Odu is a sacred scripture that gives advice, that tells somebody what to do. It gives you some direction in what it is that you're supposed to do in your life. So all of this is going to be given to you over the 16-day period. Daily, you're going to be receiving YouTube videos, and then also we have a booklet that is going to be included that you could use to process the ritual and to move forward, so that we're all able to move forward with our healing process together. The Odu that is going to be done for this one, opening of the way, is called Owonrin Sogbe. Owonrin Sogbe talks about Eshu, and it talks about those things that Eshu is able to do for us, so that he's able to open up the way. So once again, we honor you being with us, and we ask that you're able to get this healing process done, as we all need to get our healing process done. Welcome, and thank you so very much. Asheo.
Omi tutu, ona tutu, ele tutu, tutu ori, tutu egun, tutu ifa, tutu la roye. Oladumare majuba, obatarere kai. Majuba ikberum le shokotun, majuba ikberum le shokosun, majuba kanwani, majuba rumala, ilire pin, majuba koda, majuba sheda, majuba one ear. Bokbo orisha majuba, bokbo avasum majuba. We call upon you, Eshu, Ogun, Ochosi, Obatala, Oya Shango, Kabiesi. Yemanja, Oshun, Shapana, Babaluaiye, Osain. We call upon you, all of the Orisha. We call upon all of our collective ancestors, and we ask that you continue to be with us. We call all the Holy Spirits of light, and we ask that you be with us, that you open up the way for us for blessings in this event that we are about to partake in. So we ask that you be with all of those who are participating, that they may truly have healing. We call upon you, all of the healers. We call upon you, Babaluaiye. We call upon you, Shapana. We call upon you, all the forest deities. We call upon all of the Orisha. And we ask that you be with us as we honor you at this time. And we ask that you stand strong and firm behind us with all of the participants that were here. We ask that you guide them. We ask that you protect them. As we leave the old year and we move into the new year, and this is the time of the year for cleansing. This is the time of the year for spirituality. This is the time of the year when we make plans for the new year. So we ask that you open up the way. We ask that you stand strong and firm behind us. Be with us in all that we do. We say Ashe, 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 oh.
Owonrin Sogbe, Ke Shugba, Egebo, Edafelebo, Adifafebo, Oma Leke one, Nijotin Shaun Bokbo, Toko Kan Lori, wọ́n ní tó bá rúbọ tán Ifá ní kó mọ̀ pọ̀ ipa rùmlà fọ̀rúnlá jẹ̀ka ké èṣùpà ké ẹbọ ọ̀dàfẹ́lẹ́bọ.
Owonrin Sogbe. Owonrin did Ogbe wrong. Let Eshu accept. Let the sacrifices of the offer be accepted. Ifa divination was performed for the white person, offspring of those who are always ahead. When she or he was engaging in all types of endeavors without success in any of them, she or he was advised that after performing sacrifices, she or he should start worshiping Ifa. When Orunmila ate Oka with Orunla, when let Eshu accept, let the sacrifices of the offer be accepted.
Today's presentation is about healthy connections and attachments. So let's begin by looking at these two concepts, connections and attachments. Healthy connections and healthy relationships are about honesty, trust, respect, open communication, good decision-making skills, and other social skills. Partners have a sense of belonging. They feel valued, they feel loved, seen, and heard. Partners in the relationship see the relationship as an entity unto itself. And they work as a team to gain the skills necessary to empower, balance, and enhance their relationship. They respect each other's independence and share in the decision-making process. Healthy connections are about your own distinct being. Your own distinct being having awareness, sensations, and perceptions in emotional, physical, cognitive, and spiritual experiences connecting to others and to nature. Human connection is the bond formed between people to build trust and feel valued and seen. Love and belongingness are two of the most important needs that should be met. The desire to connect with others, it's a natural way of life. And of course, we know that many African social connections are based on the concept of it takes a village. It takes a village, not only to raise a child, but to evolve and to contribute to humanity. It is formed with immediate and extended family, as well as meeting people with shared interests. This is how we do social connections in African and indigenous communities. Social connections are formed later in life, but they begin as human connections when in infancy. Social connections drive human connections. The underlying feeling in the social flow from childhood to adulthood is a feeling of belongingness felt when amongst other people. Feeling of belongingness can lead to healthy, secure, and loving relationships. So the attachment theory was developed by psychiatrist John Bowlby, and it is the attachment, that emotional bond between the primary giver and the child. This bond is based on comfort, care, and pleasure. It is usually formed in the early years of the life of the child. And it is a lasting psychological connectedness between human beings, a lasting connectedness. Our lives from the time of childhood is influenced and developed through our behaviors, and these behaviors impact our adult attachments and relationships. So now that we have this basic understanding of attachment that is based on care, comfort, and pleasure, and healthy connection, the second concept, which is based on your awareness of your physical, emotional, cognitive, all these understanding of our thoughts and of our experiences as a distinct being formulating togetherness with others. So talking about attachments and healthy connections can be a little sticky because a lot of us don't really like talking about it because it begins to peel back so much. It gets a little under our skin because we have to kind of sankofa this thing. We have to be aware of where we are today, what is coming up for us, what is triggering us in our relationships. So we got to go back. We got to go back to yesterday, yesteryear, as in our childhood. And then we have to decide how we're going to do tomorrow. What's going to change? What are we willing to do to release some of the pain and trauma that we often hide behind when we are in relationships? But let's not complicate things. Let's begin with attachment. There are four different types, four different styles, if you will, of attachments, and we will see them one after another. And we know that attachments do extend into healthy connections. So it's a good place to start. But before I tell you about the four attachment styles, let me talk a little bit about what I call the big FAT, the big FAT. Those acronyms stand for fear, anger, and trauma. Fear, the first one, we all experience fear, right? So real quick, put in the chat, and I know a lot of us know this, if you remember, what do the acronyms FEAR stand for? Put that in the chat real quick. We know, let's see if we have that here. Yep. False evidence or false expectations. Yep, we got it. We got it. Appearing to be real. It is so clear and vivid in our minds. So clear that for us, it is real. And of course, we often have that physiological response to that. So it starts in the amygdala, which is that part of our brain that processes emotions. Fear is a response about what's happening now or a perceived situation. A little different to anxiety, which is an emotion about something that may happen, may or may not happen. So with fear, I'll just run through real quick. We have what's called, y'all know I love to do these acronyms. So it's RIP, RIP. So we have the rational fear based on experience. We have the irrational, which is not really based on any logical foundation. And then we have the primal. The primal is that natural and earth need to survive, right? So the primal fear can keep us from harm and danger, okay? We know, don't get too close to that multicolored snake or that black hand-sized spider, right? That's about our primal fear. So it can prevent us from having certain experiences that may be detrimental to us, right? And of course, when we talk about that, we also talk about that fight, flight, freeze, fawn, which is the exaggeration or cover up of what's really going on. So that's the F. So the A, of course, is anger, which is a secondary emotion, and it's usually triggered by something else, all right? And so anger is something that, I don't know about you, but sometimes we are taught that, oh, you shouldn't be angry. What's that face about? You're angry. And we have been taught to look at anger as a negative thing, but anger can help us move forward towards our healing. Now, admittedly, it can be hard to manage, but with skills, we can learn to manage the anger. So let's quickly jump to the T, which is trauma. Now, this is significant, okay? It's significant here when we consider particularly what happened in our childhood, and I don't know how many of us really think about that when we are in a particular situation that's uncomfortable. How do we sankofa that and find the root cause of that? So trauma is about how we internalize and react to a stressful event or a painful experience. And this thing about trauma, we know it likes to stick around, it likes to hide. And sometimes it hides so deep inside of us that sometimes it takes years and years and years. And oftentimes we hear people say, oh, well, that happened 20, 30 years ago, but trauma is not like that. When it rises up, it's like it's happening like in that moment. So even when things seem to be going well in our lives, we can be triggered, right? And the thing about trauma is that anything can trigger it: a smell, a taste, a sight, a sound. Anything can trigger that trauma. And we all have experienced some form of trauma in our lives. I was going to say hell. Well, let me say hell. Living here in this country alone guarantees that all of us may be dealing with some form of trauma. But I mean, just think about it for a minute. We have the bullying, we have the social media bullying and all this stuff, community violence. We have disasters. I was just hearing the other day about this young woman in New York, a young 30-something-year-old woman who died in her car in the last storm. Can you imagine how? And I think she had children, but how is this going to affect them? And the way even that child, that mother, that daughter died. So then we have the trauma of physical abuse, medical trauma, domestic partner violence, So it's all there, to pull the strings. And the thing about trauma is like, just think about it as that thing behind the curtain, or that thing that's manipulating the puppet. It has direct influence on our lives. And all of these things, all of these traumas can leave us vulnerable and can result in our pain and in our hurt, and where it sometimes even result to harming ourselves. Of course, we are aware of the mental and the psychological and the emotional issues that can arise from trauma. And some of us have a hard time dealing with it. We self-harm, we commit homicide, suicide, addictions, illnesses, and diseases. Many of them have a root in the trauma. So the big fat, F-A-T, fear and anger are controlled and activated by trauma. Yes, controlled and activated by trauma. Fear, anger are controlled and activated by the trauma. It's behind the scene. So being aware of these things may help all of us to better understand ourselves and those around us. And as I said, we often have to sankofa this stuff. So here's the key. The key is awareness. This may lead to opportunities to enhance our lives and our well-being. This is where I know Ifa Orisha way of life can make a difference. A spiritual walk can make a difference. Awareness often brings us to the reality of doing that healing work. And we're just coming off the cuff of creating that space for so many. Now on to, very quickly, the 4 different styles of attachment. And as I said before, these styles come from our relationship with our primary caregiver. So attachment styles have to do with how you see yourself, how you see others, and how you view attachments and connections with others. So again, I'll throw another acronym at you, SAAD, S-A-A-D, for the attachment style. The first one is secure attachment. The second is anxious attachment. Third, avoidant. And the fourth, disorganized. The last 3, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized, are insecure attachment styles. So listen closely. You may see, and I'll see I'm running out of time, so I may have to do the second half at another time, but you may see yourself and others as I go through these, and I'll just try and go through these as quickly as I can. But it's important to know, however, that we all have some levels of insecure attachment. Let's, be clear about that. So we'll start with the insecure attachment, but let me talk about the secure one, and then we'll dive into the other 3. So the secure attachment is about healthy connection, self-awareness, a good sense of worth, empowerment, strength. You take responsibility for your part. You don't look to others first. You look to self first, your part first, how you contributed. We tend to have people with good, secure attachment. They tend to have good communication and skills and good emotional intelligent skills. They ask for help. They're able to navigate conflict, and they are accountable and responsible. Those with secure, healthy connections have a lower level of the other 3 insecure, the anxious, the avoidant, and the disorganized attachment. So those who are healthy are able to address the distress in their lives. They seek support as they need it. They get relief. And there's this thing about, okay, there's distress, there's support, there's relief. Distress, support, relief. And the last 2, the support and the relief, are very important. Let's quickly jump to the anxious, okay? Anxious attachment tend to be ambivalent. They view themselves as not good enough, that they need others to make them feel valued and worthy. They tend to have low self-esteem, clingy, feel unsafe and insecure. As a result, they want attachments and commitments in their relationship, but they have a hard time managing that. Their relationships are often unstable. They often push away their partners, and they fear abandonment. Avoidance. They feel secure with themselves, but hear what? Not with you, not with others. They don't trust others. They tend to be independent. They don't like clingy people. They don't get too close in their relationships. And their attitude is that take care of your own needs. They don't want to get too attached in their relationship. They feel that attachments will take them away from freedom. And then the last one, disorganized, low self-esteem, and don't really value themselves. They view others as unpredictable. This is where needs weren't really met much in infancy. They're fearful and they're not very trusting. They kind of waver between anxious and avoidance attachments, right? They feel unworthy of love, and they find it difficult, very difficult often, to manage their emotions. And they, like I said, they feel unsafe. They don't feel like they have a solid footing, so they really don't attach. They have feelings of extreme emotions, and oftentimes they may turn to ways of self-medicating these through drugs or alcohol, shopping addiction, all types of other means of control. And their relationships are often unhealthy. Closeness is difficult. They're in, they're out, they're here, there. So go back to those questions, those 3 questions that I asked earlier. How do you view yourself? How do you view others? And how do you view your relationship and the connection attachments and how they are impacting your relationship? What fears are connected to your attachments? What fears are connected to the connections that you have? You know, think about money. That's sometimes a big one, you know? So looking at changing what you notice, we talked about awareness, and what you need to change to have a secure relationship can lead to healthy connections. So if you're not aware of the patterns, then it's difficult to really move forward, right? So we talked about, I'm not gonna go through again about the insecure, the attachments, but they, you know, those of us who are dealing with it have that lack of self-esteem, no sense of security in the self or in others, in our relationship. We push people away, as I said before, unstable, you know, relationships. And when we do have relationships, they tend to be filled with a lot of issues. So those are the styles. And we know that to have a close and committed relationship, when we are high in those areas, we have to work on them. So let me do real quick here a brief chant. Amoni amola butun la omi yeyere yo sunwa bi osunwa la oma difa fun orumila ifa oragabo omore bi igun igume. So this Odu goes on and on and on, but let me just give you the gist of it. It is talking about Orunmila when he was going to provide protection for his students, the Babalaos, the Awo. And he went to Ifa, of course, to know about today, right? As he's traveling. And Ifa says to him, we may know today, and we may even know tomorrow, but we don't know if the day after tomorrow will be a good day or not. Therefore, we must protect ourselves. So Orunmila sought protection because there were things that he understood that he did not know. And so he went to Ifa to get a better understanding. And he knew that that he too needed protection. So Ifa assured him that all of the followers will be protected against negative and evil forces, and we will never be cast out. So this is an example of how Ifa, and then in the Odu, Ifa talks about when you look at the ear of corn that's covered by the husk is a protection for the kernel. When you look at certain ground covering, the ground covering is a protection for the earth. When you look at a hen, right? The hen will cover its chicks in protection. And he goes on to give all these examples. And he says, so too can we be covered from these negative and evil forces. There is no lack in Ifa. Ifa is there to protect us and to guide us and to show us the way to create healthy connections and attachment. So I invite you to never stop working on yourself. Take the opportunity to enhance your life and your well-being. Again, the key is awareness, okay? This is the Ifa way of life. We go to Ifa because we always want to be aware, right? Because we understand we don't know everything. So awareness brings us to reality and opportunities to do the healing work. Take the risk and begin today to further your awareness of your trauma. Identify those attachment connection styles that we talked about later so that you are able to turn that big FAT around. You are able to decrease conflict and you will begin to release those toxic emotions. You can fully embrace the best of yourself when you begin to come more aware. And I know we are all on various levels of that. And you begin to embrace others in a healthy kind of way. You deserve to have a healthy and secure connection with yourself and with others. This is about healing that deeper inner part of ourselves, what we call the concept of Orinu in the Ifa religion, Ifa Orisha religion. That's that part of you that's very important in terms of your connection and your attachment to others and to nature. It's about how to think, not so much what to think. It's about how to respond, or sometimes how to react, about how to manage that internal compass. The trauma is there, as I said, pulling and tugging, focusing on fears and leading us into depression, anger, and pain. Don't try to beat trauma. Don't try to fight trauma. Don't try to push it down. But you can surely be aware of how it's playing out in your present life. And you can begin to heal and take things into a different direction. So taking the risk can help you to end the patterns of unhealthy, and I'm coming to the end here, unhealthy attachment. How you see yourself. How do you see yourself? Are you secure? Do you see yourself of having value and worth on your own? How do you view others? Do you see others as being trustworthy, dependable, stable, and secure? And how do you view your attachments and your connection with others? That rope that connects you, is that rope secure? Is that rope stable? Can you put something on that? Can you hang something on that? So let me ask you a final question. What do you want and when do you want it? What do you want and when do you want it? So a lot of us say, remember back in the day, they say, what do you want? Put it in the chat. What do you want? Freedom. When do you want it? You want it now. Well, the opposite of trauma is freedom. The opposite of trauma is liberation. We all want it, right? We all want that. Awareness and identifying patterns is where to begin. Now, to wrap it all up, I'll make a few suggestions of things that will help you on this journey in terms of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Connect to a spiritual family. Now, I know a lot of us are out there, we are doing research on the internet, we're even taking classes, you know, but I also want you to connect with something, an organization, a spiritual organization, a cultural organization that's doing something. That's where the change comes, because you can sit and flip through that book all day long, but unless you get the opportunity to experience something, it's going to be hard. So again, spiritual connectedness is important. Yoga, exercise, breathing, meditation, mindfulness, being out in nature and being in the rhythm and the harmony and the symphony of nature alone is a wonderful experience. And it is in itself a spiritual practice. Of course, therapy. And I know we have lots of capable therapists on this line here. Sometimes medication. It might help to balance so that you can take a pause to begin to do the work. Now, a couple of things: journaling, grounding, getting out there, putting your feet on the ground, hugging a tree. Yes, hugging a tree, body work, acupuncture, massage, all these things. Be authentic and have agency. Take responsibility. Do something. We talked about the IFA, decrease your stress, refocus, and recreate. Head with your compass and your map. Mother Taylor used to say that all the time, your compass and your map to a secure and to healthy connections and attachment. May this moment begin your liberation from at least one thing that is holding you from reaching your highest potential. I want to say amen, ashe, ise.
Reciprocity, 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 giving and receiving, giving and receiving the perennial, giving and receiving abundance and wealth and prosperity. Oh my goodness. Please help Ile Imole continue all of his great works and all of his public programs and in his events, his first Sunday service, his Orisha feast, his back to school ritual, it's water ritual, his elder ancestral remembrance, it's soulful empowerment. Help Ile Imole with his programs, his Babaluaiye 16-day ritual of healing. It's Black History Month. It's youth focused back to school. We can only do that with the carry. And the carry is the traditional symbol of wealth and prosperity. And that's what we're talking about. We want to do that carry app. Okay, some of you all might know it as a cash app, but it is a $sign Ile Imole on Cash App. It is the info at ileimole.com on the PayPal. It is the snail mail of Ile Imole, P.O. Box 610, Temple Hills, Maryland 20757. It can only happen with all of us working together. May there flow peace, power, love, and perfection. May there flow peace.